When I first went to Bangkok about 10 years ago, I was completely new to everything. I didn't know the language, the culture, or even how to get by in the city without getting lost. It was very overwhelming, to say the least. But what I did find was online communities where people would share their advice, tips, and stories from their time in Thailand. Of course, the online communities have blown up nowadays, and they are a lot bigger and better than they used to be. But even back then, they helped out big time. I learnt so much from the people who shared their stories and advice there. Honestly, it saved me from making a ton of mistakes and probably saved me a good chunk of money too. The majority of the 10 years that I had been going to Bangkok was spent in the bar scene and getting up to all the nighttime fun. It's been a while since I've been active in that scene, but I've been thinking lately about all the things I've learned over the years, especially when it comes to having a Thai girlfriend. I know a lot of guys out there might be in the same boat I was back then, trying to figure out how things work, what to expect, and how to have a relationship in a culture that's just so different from our own. Listening to all the new and latest stories from guys that have been to Thailand, fell for a bar girl, and lost pretty much everything, I thought I'd share some of my advice that I've picked up along the way. Of course, everyone's experiences are different, and what worked for me might not work for everyone else. But maybe some of this will help you out or give you something to think about. Before I dive in though, I should probably lay out a few disclaimers. First, I'm assuming you are a foreigner, someone who's not Thai, and that you're living outside of Thailand. I'm also assuming that if you went to Thailand on holiday, you met your girlfriend in a place like a bar, a go-go club, a massage parlour, or even a nightclub. These kinds of places are where a lot of foreigners end up meeting Thai women, and the dynamics of those relationships can be pretty different from other types of relationships. This is how most stories start, and where it goes wrong, from seeing a girl in a bar and thinking that it's going to be smooth sailing being in a relationship with her. A lot of us men already know that it's going to be a total train wreck to try and be in a relationship with a bar girl, but a lot of us will still try. Although it's normally heading for disaster before it even starts, there are successful relationships out there. If you are living in Thailand full-time, you might have the chance to meet someone who's not working in those kind of environments. Maybe she's working in a shop, an office, or somewhere else where she's got a more traditional job. Those relationships can be really different, especially if she's from a more educated background. However, with what I've learnt, I feel like the advice I will give can help no matter where you met your girlfriend, whether it be in an office or in a bar. So let's start with some things to look out for. I can't help but feel a little second-hand embarrassment when I come across stories from guys who visit Thailand for a short vacation, maybe 2 weeks tops, and suddenly they think they found the one. And guys, I only feel embarrassed because it has happened to me before in my early days. I think that any guy that says they haven't come close to catching feelings for a bar girl, especially in the early days of going to Thailand, is full of crap. But anyway, this is where the trouble normally starts. They meet a girl, spend a handful of days together, and then head back home with her phone number and a Facebook account, convinced they are in love. Fast forward a few weeks or months when the messages start getting shorter and further apart, and it all seems to be about money. They are back online complaining about how they got scammed or how things fell apart. I mean, let's be real for a second. If you meet someone in your own country, barely spoke the same language, and only spent a few days together, would you honestly believe it was true love? Probably not, right? The truth is, finding a girlfriend, whether in Thailand or anywhere else, isn't about falling head over heels for the first person who gives you a smile. It's about making a thoughtful choice. A lot of girls in Thailand make great girlfriends just for the time you are there, and you have to accept it as just that, a holiday girlfriend. If you are looking for something long-term and a more serious relationship, then you can't just fall in love with the first girl you meet. You have got to take your time, get to know someone, and really think about whether they are the right fit for you. Trust me, I've made all the mistakes in the book, some of them twice. I know how easy it is to get wrapped up in the lust that can be found in Thailand. I remember talking to an older Farang that has been around the block a few times. He told me that his Thai wife told him that Thai men look for 4 things in a woman: how she treats her family, what she does in her free time, how she spends her money, and what she does for a living. I did not really take much notice of what he said, but the more I dated in Thailand, the more I understood exactly what he was talking about. These are actually pretty solid guidelines for anyone looking to build a healthy relationship, no matter where you are from. Let's break it down a bit. First, how does she treat her family? This one is huge. If she's kind, respectful, and supportive of her family, it's a good sign that she'll bring those qualities into a relationship with you. On the other hand, if she's constantly fighting with her family or seems disconnected from them, that might be a red flag. However, just know that if she is from the bar scene, she is probably sending money to support her family, and she will always choose her family over you, which is a good thing for them, but not necessarily good for you. Next, how does she spend her money? This is especially important if you are in a situation where you are supporting her financially. Depending on where you find your girlfriend, you may very well end up supporting her for the time being and in the long run. And trust me, that goes for some of the Thai women that do not work in the night scene also. It's not just bar girls that want the money. If she's blowing through cash like there's no tomorrow, buying expensive clothes, gadgets, or just being reckless with money, it's probably not a great sign. A girl who's responsible with money is more likely to be responsible in other areas of life too. If you are planning on being with this girl for the long run, then it's ideal to have a girl that plans for the future and saves money for the future. Next, what does she do with her free time? Does she have hobbies, interests, or any life goals? When you are together, does all she want to do is go out, drinking, or shopping? Or does she actually have future goals that are decent? Does she have hobbies outside of her work life, other than sitting home watching TV all day, waiting for you to spend on her? Someone who's motivated and has a sense of purpose is going to be a much better partner in the long run. Bad habits might not seem like a big deal at first, but trust me, they can turn into major issues down the road. And finally, what does she do for a living? If you have picked up a girlfriend from the bar scene or nightlife work, just know that having a relationship with a woman in that type of work is going to be extremely hard, but it's not impossible. You really need to have a strong mindset to do it, and for the start of the relationship, especially if you are not in Thailand, you need to accept what she will be getting up to while you are away. This is easier said than done, to just put what she does for a living to the back of your mind. It's something you really need to accept, or the relationship will not go anywhere. So, if you are out there looking for a Thai girlfriend, take a step back and think about these things. Don't get swept up in the moment, choose wisely, and save yourself a lot of headaches later on. I'll never forget this one Thai girl I used to date. Every single night, without fail, she would call her kids before we went to bed. She'd check in to make sure they have finished their homework and were ready for school the next day. Then, bright and early in the morning, she'd call them again to make sure they were up, dressed, and on their way to class. To me, that said a lot about her character. She was responsible, caring, and had her priorities straight. You don't really want to end up with someone that only cares about herself and nobody else. That is going to be a disaster for you sooner or later. Those are the kind of things you want to look for in a girl, little signs that show you that they have got a good head on their shoulders. Another thing I've noticed is how a girl handles money, especially when it comes to your money. Now, a lot of girls from around the world, not just Thailand, would not care about saving your money. They would want to splash out as much as possible if it's your money and not theirs. I remember being with someone who would actually stop me from buying things if she thought it wasn't a good deal. Like, I'd be ready to grab something off the shelf, and she'd say, "No, don't buy that one, this one is cheaper." Someone that will happily spend your money without a care in the world is going to carry on doing that throughout your relationship. Now, I am not saying your Thai girlfriend has to be a rocket scientist or a boring woman that never wants to spend money, but it's worth paying attention to what she does in her spare time and how she spends money. Of course, taking her out for a drink, having fun, and spoiling her is a perfectly fine thing to do in a relationship. But if the whole relationship is based on that, then you are going to have a really tough time sooner or later. The kind of girl who's great for a wild night out might not be the same girl you want to settle down with. There are many of girls out there that are great for a night out or a holiday girlfriend, but here we are talking about something more serious. At the end of the day, choosing the right person is the most important step in making a relationship work. And that's the same for any relationship, not just a foreigner and Thai relationship. It's not just about chemistry or attraction. It's about finding someone who shares your values, respects you, and is willing to put in the effort to make things work. Let's be honest, anyone can go to Thailand and find a so-called girlfriend, or what they have convinced themselves is a girlfriend. You need to take your time, pay attention to little things, and don't rush into anything. Again, that is easier said than done. The thing I see a lot is that many people say, "How can you be in a relationship with a bar girl?" and all these negative comments, and I somewhat agree with what they are saying. However, there are plenty of bar girls out there that are looking for a man to sweep them off their feet and get them out of that life. They are also looking for a serious relationship, but like most girls, they have been lied to and cheated on also. It's not just the girls playing the game. On the flip side to that, there are also the girls that are going to do everything to rinse you. They love the party lifestyle and the money, and they will do everything they can to convince you that they are madly in love with you. That's why I said you need to take your time and weed out the fakes. Now let's talk about something that many people seem to ignore, even though it's a huge obstacle, and that is distance. Let's assume that you meet a girl while you are on holiday and you don't live in Thailand yet and you can't stay there for long due to work or other commitments. You have no other choice than to do the long distance thing. Maybe the first couple of months is fine, video calling and chatting when you get a chance, but things will eventually get tough. So imagine this. You are on a 2-week holiday in Thailand. You meet a girl, hit it off, and then fly back home. You tell her you'll see her again in a year and ask her to wait for you and stay faithful until then. If she is from the bar scene, how well do you think you can handle that? Do you think that it's going to work out? Probably not, right? If you live on the other side of the world and only plan to see her once or twice a year, it's really not going to work out. I'm not trying to be harsh here, but I've seen it happen way too many times. You might feel like you can do it, and that it would be easy with video calls, messages, and whatever else, but in reality, it gets really hard. No matter how much you promise her you'll come back, she's not going to believe it. The moment your plane takes off, she's going to start thinking about her other options. She might even start looking for someone else before you've even made it through immigration. That's just how it is with these girls. There is nothing wrong with what they do, but they have heard it a million times that a foreigner is going to come back for them. Think about it. If you were in her shoes, would you put your life on hold for someone you barely know and might not see for another year? Probably not. If you are not around, someone else will be. And if you're only seeing her once or twice a year, you can't expect her to wait around for you. It's just not realistic. Now I know not everyone can just up and move to Thailand. It's not easy if you have a job in your own country, bills, a mortgage, and other things that can tie you to your country. Not everyone is lucky enough to work remotely. Most people that make the move to Thailand for a girl end up teaching English. You need a degree to teach in a proper school and get paid a decent amount, well, for Thailand anyway. Though I won't be naive and say that nobody works under the table without a visa or qualifications. But that's a risk you will have to decide if it's worth it. I personally wouldn't. Now, let's talk about the idea of her moving to your country. I know some guys dream about bringing their Thai girlfriend back home with them, but let me tell you, it's really a good idea. Believe it or not, and despite when people say she is only after a visa, a lot, and I mean a lot, of Thai girls do not want to leave Thailand. They have their family there that they are very loyal to. They would rather be making money while still in Thailand. And if she does end up coming to your country, she's going to be miserable away from her family, her friends, and everything familiar to her. The culture shock alone can be overwhelming, and unless she's really prepared for it, the relationship is likely to fall apart. Many times it has happened that someone has taken his woman back to his country and the relationship just fell apart, and they normally come off better than you, as you are her sponsor. I know different countries have different rules, so I can't speak for them all, but in my country, we have to support them for 3 years, regardless of if the relationship goes to crap. So, what's the solution? If you're serious about making it work, you've really got 2 options. First, you can move to Thailand yourself. That way, you are there full-time and you can build a real life together. Obviously, you are going to have to get your finances in order and have a solid plan. Whatever you do not move there without a plan. I have seen a lot of guys with the idea of moving to Thailand, only to arrive there and treat it like a holiday, going out every night with no plan in mind. 9 times out of 10, the men that actually do try and make the move to Thailand end up going back home. And option number 2, you can live somewhere nearby like Singapore or Hong Kong and visit her at least once a month. Employment opportunities in surrounding countries are easier than in Thailand, especially if you are skilled in something, and the pay would be a lot better. If you can't do either of those things, or have a plan to be with her more than 1 week a year, then you need to be honest with yourself about what you are actually looking for. If you are only able to visit Thailand once a year, that's fine, but don't expect to have a loyal, long-term relationship with one girl. Instead, enjoy your time there, have fun, and keep things casual. Trying to force something more serious under those circumstances is just setting you up for disappointment. Let's talk about the next subject. What do women really want? Alright, so you found the right girl, whether it be from going out at night, dating apps, the mall, or wherever. You found her. You have been together a couple of weeks or months, and things are going well. The chances are she is going to be asking for support if she hasn't already. So, how much should you give her financially? And yes, I said give her. I can feel the alpha males listening to this story and ready to smash their keyboard like, I will never be paying for a Thai girl. You know, the more you guys act like alphas online, the more we can see straight through you and know you are simping more than the guys that submit these stories. If you are married to a woman from your own country and she stayed home to take care of the house while you worked, would you expect her to live without any money of her own? Of course not. If you told her, I love you, but you are not getting a dime from me, how long do you think she'd stick around? Not very long, right? The same logic applies here. Just because your new girlfriend is from Thailand doesn't mean the same rules do not apply. In fact, any woman in any country would probably leave you if you weren't going to support the relationship in some way or other. I know there's this stereotype that Thai women are only after your money, but that's not fair or accurate. Sure, there might be a few bad apples out there, but if you followed the advice I shared earlier and chosen wisely, you are probably with someone who genuinely cares about you. And remember, the stories that we hear about the most are the train wreck stories. It's not often that people submit their success stories. They are too busy loving and living life. So let's drop the idea that she's just trying to fleece you. What Thai women want, what most women want really, is security. They want to know that they'll be taken care of and that they can support their family. If you want her to stay with you and be happy, you need to give her that sense of stability. This doesn't mean handing over huge lumps of cash or giving her access to your credit cards. Have her open her own bank account and agree on a specific amount that you'll give her, like twice a month. If you give her the full amount at the beginning of the month, chances are you'll get a call halfway through asking for more, especially if her family are the greedy type. Make it very clear from the start that you will give her this set amount each month and not a penny more, unless you want to spoil her every now and again, which is fine. No extra money for greedy parents, no money for the kids that are sick twice a week, and definitely no extra money for the buffaloes. It sounds harsh, but if you put your foot down with a set amount, then she and her family know that they can't take advantage of you. At the end of the day, it's about respect and fairness. You are not just giving her money, you are showing her that you value her and want her to feel secure in the relationship. Don't see it as you are paying for someone to be your girlfriend, because you are not. You are just doing your part for the relationship. And if you have chosen the right girl, she'll appreciate that and do her part to make things work. If your girlfriend is from the bar and you want her to stop working there, then be prepared to pay a lot more and make sure she is actually not working at the bar anymore. Okay, let's get real for a minute. Everyone wants to know the magic number. How much should I give her? It's a question that comes up again and again, and honestly, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. But I can give you some advice based on what's worked for me and a lot of other guys that I've talked to. If your girlfriend works in a normal job like a bank or a cafe or whatever, and just needs a little extra each month to support her family, the amount you will give her is going to be less than if your girlfriend is working in a high-end go-go bar and you're wanting her to leave. First things first, sit down with your girlfriend and have an honest conversation about money. I know this is an awkward conversation to have, but it's one that is needed. Do not be a pushover during this conversation, and don't feel like a savior that you can spend thousands on her when you really can't. Talk about her monthly expenses, things like rent, food, clothes, her phone bill, transportation, and of course, the money she sends back to her family. These are all the things she'll probably already be budgeting for, so it's important to know what she's dealing with. If you can't afford or are not willing to give what she is requesting, then maybe you are not in a position to have a steady girlfriend from Thailand right now. And that's okay. It's better to be honest with yourself and her than to stretch yourself too thin. Not every guy is willing to spend and support their Thai girlfriend, and that is absolutely fine, but you should know how Thai and Farang relationships really work. If she's constantly worried about money, she might start looking for other ways to make ends meet, and that's not a situation you want to be in. I think you already know the kind of things that Thai girls can do to make easy money. Do you really want your girlfriend doing that? On the other hand, if she feels secure and taken care of, she's much more likely to focus on building a life with you instead of going out every night trying to find someone else. So let's talk numbers. Between rent, food, bills, and supporting her family, it adds up really fast. For reference, I'll go ahead and share my own situation. I give my girlfriend 50,000 baht a month. She's been with me for over 4 years now, and I've never had any reason to doubt her loyalty or her commitment. If you are listening to this story and thinking I am out of my mind for giving that amount, trust me, I get it. Not everyone can afford to give that much, and that's okay. I am not telling my story because I'm trying to flex how much money I have or something like that, because I'm not. I have a decent amount of money that I have worked hard for, and I'm in a position to be able to support with that amount of money. 50,000 a month is not the magical number that everyone in a foreigner-Thai relationship has to give. That is just mine. But if you are serious about having a long-term relationship with a Thai woman, you need to be realistic about what it costs. If 25,000 to 50,000 baht a month is out of your budget, then maybe it's better to stick with short-term flings instead of trying to make something more serious. Now, many of you think that guys are out of their mind when supporting a Thai girlfriend, and if I stopped the money to my Thai girlfriend, would she still be with me? And the answer is probably no. Same as if she was a Western woman, she would probably walk out on me if I stopped the money. It's really not about feelings when it comes to this. If a woman doesn't have security and stability, like I said, she is going to leave you, despite how much she loves you. At the end of the day, it's about being fair and making sure both of you are comfortable. If you are taking care of her needs and showing her that you value her, she's going to do the same for you. Thai women are very loving, caring, and loyal once they know you are serious and in the relationship for the long run. Okay, so now you have your newfound Thai girlfriend. You know where you both stand financially, and you are looking to the future. You need to know exactly where you stand in her life and her future. I'm going to be straight with you. You are not at the top of her list. From what I have observed in Thai foreigner relationships, this is how it normally works. First and foremost, her parents will come first in her life, and she will always look after them before anything and anyone else. In Thai culture, the daughter always seems to be the supporter of the family. Her mother and father will be counting on her for money each week. If your girlfriend is from Isan but working in one of the cities, there is a 99.99% chance she is sending money home to her parents to help with looking after her children. That brings me to number 2 on her list, her children, if she has any. If her kids are young and not living with her, chances are her parents are looking after them. That's why she will be sending whatever money she can to her parents each week. Then third on the list is you and probably her friends. Yes, she will care about her friends as much as she cares about you. Family and friends are everything in Thai culture, and you are not going to change that. Let me give you an example from my own life. I've been with my girlfriend for over 4 years now. During that time, I've paid for pretty much everything. I've covered the cost of every meal she's eaten, every meal her family's eaten, and pretty much every other expense you can think of. Although I have done that for over 4 years, and she knows that her and her family have been very lucky for me to do that, if I ever asked her to choose between me or her family, she would choose them. And you know what? I've made my peace with that. I understand that her loyalty to her family runs deeper than anything else, and I respect that. It's one of the things I admire the most about her. In the West, money seems to come before family, but in Thailand, they will choose family even if it means losing money. So if you are serious about making this relationship work, you need to accept your place in her life. Don't try and compete with her friends or her family. Instead, focus on being the best partner you can and understand that her love for her family doesn't take away her love from you. Lastly, planning for the future. Alright, so you've followed all the advice, chosen the right girl, and set up a system that works for both of you. But there's one more thing you need to think about: the future. If you are serious about making this relationship last, you've got to have a plan. Like I mentioned earlier, a plan is so important, as just winging it rarely works, and most of the time ends up in disaster. First, let's talk about where she's going to live. If you are not able to live in Thailand, but you can be there a few months a year, or as much as you can be, and are willing to give the long-distance relationship a shot, then you really want her living in a nice place while you are not in Thailand. If she's staying in a place like Pattaya or Phuket, areas known for their nightlife and tourist scenes, you might be setting yourself up for trouble. Those places are full of distractions and temptations, and it's easy for things to go sideways. You might trust her a lot, but in those cities, the opportunity creates the thief. Instead, encourage her to live somewhere quieter, closer to her family, or in a place where she can focus on building a stable life. A lot of men that get in a relationship with a bar girl as opposed to a girl that is employed in a job pay for them to go back to their family home, which is normally in Isan. Now, I'm not saying this is the way to go, but I'm just saying it's an option that I see many guys doing. Next, think about what she's going to do with her time. It's important that she stays busy in a positive way. If she has moved away from her friends and her work, then encourage her to get a new job or go back to school for the time being. You don't want her getting bored and missing her old life she had before meeting you. Sitting around all day with nothing to do is a recipe for boredom and trouble. I think this final step is possibly one of the most important steps you can take in a relationship with a Thai girl, and that is meet the family. More importantly, her parents. I don't mean just travelling to her village for the weekend, getting drunk with her dad, and then never seeing them again. Go there for a few weeks, embrace the culture there, live like they do with what little they have. You will be surprised at what they do just to get by. It's eye-opening living the way they do, but it's also a great experience, and it shows them that you are serious about their daughter. Having her parents' blessing is a must. If they don't like you, then more likely they will make her not like you either. When you've slept under the same roof as her family, eaten the same food, and maybe even used the same outdoor bathroom she grew up with, you'll start to see things from her perspective. So, after all of that, can it work with a Thai bar girl? Absolutely. Not every relationship is doomed to fail. I'm living proof of that. I've been with my girlfriend for over 4 years now, after meeting her in a bar. She's younger than me, way more beautiful, and we've built a life together that I am really proud of. Is it perfect? No, of course not. No relationship is. And yeah, there's always a chance things could fall apart someday. But for now, we are happy, and that's all that matters. I've not purchased land or anything in her name as of yet, because even though I do not see our relationship failing, I still want to make sure. If you are willing to put in the effort, be patient, and respect her culture and priorities, you can make it work too. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it. As I mentioned earlier, there are so many train wreck stories out there because the guys in successful relationships are out there enjoying their life. So, good luck, or as they say in Thailand, chok di.